This is how I started in Road to Vostok, and this is where I ended up after about 30 hours of gameplay. I have the gear, I have the supplies, I just haven't gone to Vostok yet. So I kind of wanted to share my experience up to this point. The first few days were pretty bare. I didn't have the traders, and I didn't really have a whole lot to work with. You know, funny enough, this was my first gunfight on this playthrough, and this bandit just was absolutely stacked. After a few days of doing like standard village runs for food, normal supplies, ammo, a few pretty decent guns, things kind of started to settle in a bit. This next clip is me on about day 5 or 6, right after finding the cat, and all I can say is thank God they nerfed this motherfucker's appetite. I do gotta say, I think the biggest power spike that I experienced in this whole game and this playthrough was when I found the 1 to 6x scope, because this was the first time in the game where things actually felt different. And what I mean by this is that I started to have control over the engagements, like I could start seeing them before they happened, and I also spent significantly less time locked into firefights and being basically in combat with bandits and stuff like that. From there on out, everything just started stacking up. Like, it was way easier to do supply runs, get kills on bandits, and secure new weapons for trading at the generalist or the doctor. It really helped me secure a lot of wealth like early game before day 9, which is really important because that's when the gunsmith shows up. So I think around day 9 was when I got to see my first supply drop happen in village, but sadly I could not find it in the dark. Also, it seemed like a bunch of bandits like kind of rushed towards an area, and I just could not find the crate anywhere. So I don't know if they like loot the crate and despawn it, or if I just didn't figure out where it was. I'm not too sure what happened to that one, but I could really use one because I need 3 water bottles to make the Killju. About a day or 2 later, I found my first helicopter crash, and the first time I came across it, I expected it to be like a big upgrade, you know, maybe night vision goggles or a special weapon, but most of what I found was pretty average. It was mostly just like guns and clothing and stuff like that. So nothing that really changed anything for me. And I almost left it at that because I was in a hurry to get back to the shelter to go feed the cat, go figure. So the cat doesn't starve to death, obviously. And then I noticed something on the ground that I almost walked past. And that ended up being one of the better finds from that whole entire run in general. Which, by the way, it ended up being a leopard optic, which is basically another 1 to 6x scope. So now I was about 10 or 12 days deep, and I had 2 6x scopes that I could use for different guns. So if I lost one, I would still have another, which was honestly a really good feeling of reassurance. So once the gunsmith showed up, that's when things really came together. I mean, I got absolutely addicted to going to Outpost and visiting the gunsmith because I had all these MP5s that I could basically use to barter with him. I tried to stock up on as much level 2 and level 3 plates as I could, and ballistic helmets, because those are just, they're like the standard, right? You kind of just need them for when you go and start doing more stuff in the daytime, whether you're going to permadeath or doing supply runs or visiting the school, anything. They're basically just good to have in any given situation. By the time I had stockpiled all this gear, I kid you not, I started to feel like the king of Vostok. I mean, I could just run through village, I could run through school. You know, I had the 6x, I could see enemies at a great distance. Even if I did get into firefights, 9 times out of 10 I wasn't going to sustain a big injury. But then, I had a moment at the school. I thought I had cleared it, but I didn't. After this encounter, I definitely started to slow things down a bit again, and I started to realize that I had gotten way too comfortable and way too complacent. I gotta be honest though, I took my frustration out on the next time I went to go clear school. At this point, I kind of realized I have the gear, I have the supplies, and I'm kind of just stacking armor, helmets, and extra plates, like, more than I really needed for the runs I'm doing. And that's when it hit me, like, what am I even stockpiling for? If I mess up once in Vostok, I lose all of this. So, what's the holdup? To be honest, I'm not really sure. At one point, I even had a chance to fight the Punisher, and I kind of just let him slip past. To be honest, I got kind of freaked out and hid away a little bit, but I thought that the van would have just stopped in the road. But to my surprise, it kind of just kept on going. And that was the first time I had seen it in almost 20 hours. After going back through all of this footage, I think the main thing that I took away is just not getting too attached to everything that you build up. I spent a lot of time stockpiling gear and staying in areas that more or less felt safe, without really pushing into places like Vostok Apartment or the Terminal. And looking at it now, that probably wasn't the point. I haven't even played for the last few days, but the next time I get on, I'm probably just going to risk it. Because holding on to everything and trying not to lose it doesn't really feel like the way the game is meant to be played. At least not to me.
Jumala, voi sinä läskikissa.